between having access to those books and just art materials and just things that allowed me to be creative and think and express myself, and having access to that one room library where I read the same books over and over with my mom, early on, it just kind of sparked that love for reading and really helped to develop my imagination.
You may recognize the voice of our guest today as one of the major voices in the Jacksonville news scene, and that's because our guest today is Tenikka Hughes, evening news anchor at Action News Jax. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Gabby. Tenikka anchors the 5, 6, and 11 p.m. weekday newscasts on CBS 47 and the 6:30 and 10 p.m. newscasts on Fox 30. Tenikka is also an Emmy Award-winning journalist and a Florida Associated Press Broadcasters Award recipient.
Did you know that Tenikka also has a huge passion for literacy and children? She regularly volunteers her time to read to children at local schools and at daycares, sharing her passion for youth literacy and education. And today she joins us to talk about her annual book drive, Tenikka's Book for Kids. And also we get to hear about where her passion for youth literacy stems from.
Tenikka's Books for Kids is an annual effort to collect book donations for children who participate in the Jacksonville Public Library's Summer Learning Program. Since its inception in 2018, Tenikka's Books for Kids has helped collect nearly 6,000 new books for local children. All eligible books are to be given out as prizes to children and teens who complete their summer reading goals.
We are really excited to partner with Tenikka again this year, and if you're attending Jax Book Fest and have any new or new books you would like to donate, please remember to bring them in. We will gladly collect them and save them for our summer reading program.
So without further ado, here is our podcast with Tenikka Hughes. So welcome, Tenikka. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be back.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Tenikka Hughes. I am an evening anchor with CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax, and you can tune in and see me every night at 5, 6, 10, and 11. And I'm a native of North Carolina from a really small town called Whitakers, and I'm married. My husband's awesome, and and I enjoy literacy and spreading the love of reading, particularly to kids.
And how long have you been a news anchor?
Almost 20 years, all across the Southeast. And my official TV career, I started doing news in Maryland in grad school for Capital News Service when I went to the University of Maryland for graduate school. But my first official TV job was back in Macon, Georgia, at the CBS affiliate there. And then I spent 2 years there, and I left Macon, went to Memphis, Tennessee for 3 years. And after Memphis, I got a job with Cox Media Group, the company that I work for now, in Charlotte at the ABC affiliate in Charlotte, where I spent 5 years working as an anchor and got promoted to a weekend morning anchor and got promoted again to a weekday morning anchor. Spent 5 years there in Charlotte, which was nice to be back in my home state. And then my company approached me about coming down to Jacksonville because we had purchased the station here at that time. And I came down for an interview, and here I am. You know.
And how long ago was that?
I came to Jacksonville in 2014.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you look so young. I can't believe you've been doing this for 20 years. Listeners, if you could just see her skin, you'd be envious too.
I appreciate that.
And so you are a huge advocate for literacy, like you said. What first sparked your love for libraries and reading?
My family. I was raised by my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother. We all lived together with my other siblings. It's 4 of us. I have a big sister, big brother, and a little sister. And my Aunt Faye was a school teacher and a librarian. So we always had access to books at home, something that a lot of kids might not know of, something called encyclopedias. I know I mentioned that one time to some kids and they were like, "You mean Wikipedia?" And I'm like, "No." But we always had access to books at home. And then I'm from this little bitty town called Whitakers, and we had a 1-room library. And as a kid, I really wanted to go to school with my siblings. My mom go, "No, you're not old enough yet." So we had a routine where every day we would walk down to the post office to check the mail, and the library was right behind it. So my mom would take me and we would read books every day. That was kind of her way to soothe me because I was begging to go to school every day. So between having access to those books and just art materials and just things that allowed me to be creative and think and express myself, and having access to that one room library where I read the same books over and over with my mom, early on, it just kind of sparked that love for reading and really helped to develop my imagination.
Yeah, as a mother myself, like I always, before my son was old enough to go to school, like we went to the Willow Branch Library all the time. The libraries are such a wonderful resource for parents, like for something to do during the day.
Wonderful free resource for parents to have something to do during the day. And my family, I come from extremely humble beginnings. And so I could appreciate having those books and kids magazines and just access to those different art supplies and things that allowed me to tap into that creative side and write my own little stories and draw my own little pictures. Because again, not having access to a lot of financial resources, that was a really good outlet for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And can you tell us a little bit about Tenikka's Books for Kids and how your partnership with the library has grown over the years?
Tenikka's Books for Kids is my baby. And so my promotions department approached me. They knew that I was always out reading at local schools. I love reading at local schools and interacting with the kids. I'm really dramatic with my storytelling. Love getting all the hugs at the end. It's just such a great experience, and I want it to be fun for kids. So they knew that she's always out reading at schools. And so we have been talking to Chris here with the library, looking at ways that maybe we could take what I do and put that energy towards supporting the summer learning program. And so we brainstormed, and we just came up with the idea of I could ask people to give books to local kids. I'm all about it. That's my jam. And so we came up with the concept of Tenikka's Books for Kids, where we solicit the community and ask them to donate free books to give to the children through the summer learning program. And the goal is, over the summer, if the kids meet their reading goals, the children that are participating in the summer learning program, they will be given a free book from Tenikka's Books for Kids. It helps to serve two purposes. One, children can build their own little libraries at home. People really take for granted that kids have access to books. I'm one of the lucky ones. I had books at home. There are a lot of children right here in Jacksonville that don't have access to age-appropriate books at home. They don't have people who are necessarily reading to them, which is equally important. I know you talked about reading and taking your son to the library before he was even old enough to read.
Yeah.
The second, we have the summer slide, is when kids lose what they learned in school while they're out for those summer months. So getting them engaged and involved with the summer learning programs is a big help. And then having those books at home that they can read and have their own little libraries, hopefully that can spark something in them to keep that passion for reading and learning going all year long. So that's the goal.
Okay, so if our listeners are wanting to donate a book, where can they go to donate a book, and what kind of condition do you want the book to be in?
They can go to any branch of the Jacksonville Public Library and donate books. They're going to be big old boxes. They're labeled Tenikka's Books for Kids. And if you don't see one, anyone in the library can direct you to where the boxes are. So we made it convenient right in your own neighborhood. Donate the books. We're looking for books 0 to 18. So it can be the little soft, fuzzy books for infants, things that they can touch and interact with, and chapter books for the older children. We are asking for new books. That's our priority because, again, we want something that children can take home and have as a part of their own personal library so they can keep for years to come. But this year, we're also, and every year we get a little bit of the gently used books as well. So this year, we're accepting new, and I'm going to call them like new.
Lovingly used.
Yes, like new and new books this year. And the condition of the books, like new or gently used. So again, think about something that you would want a kid to be able to keep and enjoy. Try to avoid having books that have scribbles and writing, torn pages, sticky goo from dirty little fingers, and things like that. You want it to be something, again, that you would be proud for your kid to have, because we want the children to feel a sense of ownership and pride when they get their books. And so keep that in mind. And the new books are going to be distributed to the kids. And even the gently used books, they'll still go back to friends of the library. There are ways that we can get those books also out into the community. But new, and we'll say gently used / like new. Those are the books we're looking for, 0 to 18.
And how was the book drive last summer? What were the kind of final numbers on that?
Okay, so this will be the third year of Tenikka's Books for Kids. And last year, we got a little more than 2,600 books.
Wow.
And it was pretty exciting. So this year, we're hoping to break that through, again, the love and support from the community who's been just outstanding. We have different local partners as well, including San Marco Books and More, who they have a pop-up shop here at the library.
At the Jack's Book Fest,
At the Jack's Book Fest, where we're going to be kicking off Tenikka's Books for Kids. But they saw what we were doing, and Desiree with San Marco Books was like, I want to be a part. So from day one, I will have to just give them a quick shout out because they've been an excellent partner and they've actually matched purchases there. So support your local bookstores as well. Also, we have an Amazon link where people can give, so we're making it easy and convenient. I have loved ones. The idea for that came because I had loved ones who were literally mailing me books or calling to local bookstores to buy a book or calling San Marco Books to buy books and then getting them sent to the library or dropped off at the library or at San Marco Books. And I've had people from Phoenix send me books, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta,
Wow.
Maryland. It's been amazing to see the response. I've even had people from my little town send me boxes of books to my station just because it registered for them like, oh, Tenikka's collecting books? Of course she is. And they just support the mission. So 2,600 books, a little bit more than that last year. We're hoping to break that in year 3. So we're really looking forward to the people of the community kind of just stepping up and getting behind this effort because it's so important.
That is so cool. And Amazon, it can't get easier than that.
It's easy. Right on your phone. You have 2 weeks to do it. So I'll launch into that, actually. We're going to kick off. We talked about the Jack's Book Fest on Leap Day,
Yeah.
February 29th.
Right.
Saturday, right here at the main branch of the library, and Tenikka's Books for Kids will be there. That's our kickoff too. So we're going to have a booth. We have a booth here. You guys are so gracious to let us in, and we have a booth here every year. So we'll be at Tenikka's Books for Kids. So guess what? That's a great opportunity for you to bring those new and gently used / like new books to drop off right at the Tenikka's Books for Kids table. We're going to have our box set up, and San Marco Books and More is doing another pop-up. So if you don't bring a book, stop by, buy a book,
one.
and drop it off. And if you're an author coming to Book Fest and you have children's books, feel free to bring an extra one and leave it for me. We'll take it.
Definitely. And you will also be doing a Drop Everything and Read for the kids.
I will. I'm really excited about doing that. Drop everything and read. I'm going to be reading to the babies, as I lovingly call them, at 10:30 in the second floor in
The children's department.
library. And so bring your kids on up. We're going to have a good time. Like I said, I'm very dramatic. I put on a show. I get into character because, again, I want it to just be a fun experience. So a Drop Everything and Read, Saturday, February 29th at 10:30 in the children's section.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
And so for this year's summer reading program, what kind of books, or is there any particular theme that you want the books to be about this year?
It'll coincide with the theme for the summer learning program. I know last year we had the space theme. So
This year is going to be, it's like a fairy tale mythology theme for summer reading.
those are the types of books that you'll be able to link to on Amazon. The library, you guys go through and pick out books that match the theme. But from the community, all kinds of books. You don't have to fall into a specific genre. Just make sure that they're age appropriate. That's the biggest thing that we look for. Like I said, books for infants, because people will go, oh, babies can't read, but their parents can read to them. And that's so important for a child's development to hear adults and other siblings and people reading to them. It helps them with stuff like learning their name, how to count. You'd be surprised at how much developmentally reading helps. So those little books for babies up to chapter books for teenagers. So 0 to 18 years old. So any types of books. But if you order through Amazon, it will be matching the theme of the summer learning program.
Awesome. And it makes such a difference for kids if they win a book as a prize for matching their reading goals, or, even going to the library and picking out their own book with their own library card. Like, kids get so excited about reading at that point. It's such a cool thing to be able to provide for kids.
It is. Every year I've been invited to the wrap party for the summer learning, and we have the little cart with the donations. And it's so funny because I love watching. I just kind of, look off to the side and I see the kids and their parents, and they kind of walk up like, go pick out your book. And you could just see, they're scratching their heads. They got their little fingers on their chin, and they really think because they want to pick the right book. And when they get them, they hug them to their chest and they're so excited. And it is the sense of pride that the kids have from getting this book, that one, that they earned, and two, that's all theirs. And so I've enjoyed being able to kind of watch the kids be able to collect some of their books. Obviously, since it started in 2018, we've collected nearly 6,000 books for children in Jacksonville. And last year, we even tapped into a few surrounding counties, St. John's, Clay, Nassau. We put a box there too. But yeah, it is cool to watch the kids get excited about a book. There's so much with video games and different things. You see all these different reports and research about kids needing to get outside and be active and find ways to stimulate their brains. And I'm a technology girl. I love it myself. My husband plays video games too. But I love the fact that we can also get them excited about holding a good book and reading a good book too.
Yeah, there's really just nothing like it.
It isn't. It isn't.
So on the last podcast, you talked about how you were going to become a teacher at UNF and you're going to teach in an advanced writing lab for journalism students. Can you talk a little bit about how that went?
I did do that. I was an adjunct there, and for the advanced writing lab with Professor Marcia Ladendorf. That was her main class, and I was her adjunct, and it was a pretty cool experience. I had essentially a full class, and my students probably range from early 20s, maybe into 40 years old. So I think it was a good experience. I think my students would say that it was challenging. I would like to think that they liked me as a person, but I was tough when it came to getting the facts right, being accurate, making sure that writing was strong. Because, hey, if I'm going to help to prepare a future storyteller or a future journalist, I want them to be armed with all those skills. So it was a really good experience. It was a lot fitting it in with the anchoring. So I only did it that one semester, but the college and the department, they've definitely let me know the door's open for me to come back. And so I'm really grateful for that. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm glad to put that on my resume because it's something that I wanted to do since I got my master's back in 2004, something that was always in the back of my mind wanting to teach. So I think I'll try it again. We'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say after 20 years of experience, you probably just have so much knowledge to share. Have you ever thought about writing your own book?
Oh my goodness. I have. And I have friends who go, you should write a book. You should write a book.
You just started a blog, right?
I did. Yeah. TenikkaHughes.com. And so I'm doing a few little stories there, letting people know me as the news lady. They see me out and about and they get to see me every night. I'm in their homes every night. And this is just my way of kind of being able to tell a few more stories about who I am or people that I really care about or awesome people that I think others should know. So I wrote one blog about Beyonce and an experience that I had in New York. I didn't meet Beyonce, but she kind of inspired me to step out of my comfort zone. And I also have one blog up about my grandmother who just turned 102 years old.
Wow.
The one who helped to raise me. And just some of the lessons that she's given to me and things I've absorbed from just watching her live her life. So it's been kind of neat to kind of tell stories in a slightly different format.
A different platform, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not mean to cut you off about your book. You can get back to how your friends are.
Well, with that said, my friends, they were like, when I said, I'm going to have my own website and I'm going to do a blog. And they were like, oh, you mean book? So a lot of my friends have been talking about me writing a book. And really, they think that I'd be great at writing a children's book because I'm so passionate about it. And so I thought about it. How can I apply some of the lessons from my own life or experiences from my own life into a children's book to inspire and encourage other kids, not just to love reading, but just kind of some of the issues that kids overcome, which are just a lot different from when I was growing up too. But then some of the things are the same with self-esteem issues. Sometimes you have bullying or self-confidence issues. And so I think that's in the back of my mind somewhere on the radar. Yeah, maybe stepping outside of the blog a bit and maybe looking at writing a book.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. And did you always know you wanted to be a journalist growing up, or was this kind of something you figured out later on in your college journey?
So for the most part, I always knew that I was going to be some kind of communicator. I knew that I thought early on, I was going to be a teacher. And that might be because of my Aunt Faye having that influence. But I knew I loved reading. I knew I loved writing. And I knew that I loved explaining things to people. At a young age, I would do public speaking and different programs at school. And I remember I did one of those personality assessments at school, and journalists popped up. And I was like, oh, journalists. And so then I looked into it. I can't say that I Googled because Google didn't exist back then. But I looked into what a journalist did. And I saw the reading, the writing, the explaining, the storytelling. And I fell in love with the concept. That's my recollection. My mom says when I was like 6, I get a hairbrush, my stuffed animals, a Jet magazine, sit them down and act like I was Oprah or Connie Chung or somebody reading the news to my stuffed animal. So let her tell it. It was always there. She never pushed it on me, but she's like, oh, you used to get your hairbrush and read to your animals all the time. Or you and your brother would get the little cassette recorder and go around the house making fake news reports when you were a kid. And it's funny because when you talk to other journalists, a lot of times they'll have similar stories from childhood. And we also grew up in a time where we sat down around the dinner table and we watched the news every night. We didn't have cable growing up in my house. So we watched the Andy Griffith Show and then we watched the news. And so I grew up admiring some of my local news ladies and people that I saw on the national level as well. So I've always valued news. I remember growing up, Princess Diana, her passing. I remember the Berlin Wall falling, like my mom saying, hey, this is history. You guys, we need to sit and take this in. It was something that was made a point in our house that you sit and you watch the news when things were happening around you and in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's still so important. I am an avid news watcher, and a lot of my friends are like, why don't you just read it on the internet? And I'm like, there's something different about watching it and watching an anchor tell me the news. And I feel like, it's kind of a tumultuous time right now. So as a news anchor, how do you prepare yourself for each story and remain unbiased?
I think that people who do this line of work, ideally, we come into it, we don't have an agenda. We have families, we have our own lives outside of work, and it's something that we sign up for, essentially. We know the ethics that are involved in what we do, and we know it's important for us to separate our thoughts and feelings and emotions because people are counting on us to let them know what's happening in the world, explain it in a way that they can understand and really digest it. And I think that we have the power to inform, inspire, entertain, educate, empower. This platform allows us to do so much, but ultimately, my job is just to present it. And you glean what you glean from it as a consumer, as a viewer. And I think, how do you prepare yourself day to day? It varies because it can be challenging on a number of levels. For example, just last night, we struggle with violence here in Jacksonville. Just last night, a 1-year-old girl was shot in the leg. And so we get these alerts, shooting. We're sending a crew, shooting. Okay, we're sending a reporter, photographer, shooting. And you get these different alerts and you kind of brace yourself because it could be someone shot in the arm. It could be someone who was killed. And in the case last night, it was a 1-year-old girl shot in the leg. Thankfully, she was expected to survive, but it can rattle you a bit, and you're human. And so things like that, you don't want to hear about anyone getting shot or hurt, much less a baby, essentially. And so our job is to remain composed and to take in that information and just put it out there in a way that's calm and informative, and just allow people, again, to just be empowered with information and perspective. And if we can add perspective to things, we try to do that too, and just put it out there. I think it's so important for people to still watch the news. Of course, we have our Action News Jacks apps, and there's so many places that you can get news on your Apple Watch and all these different things. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that you do still appreciate that connection of hearing it from the anchor. And I tell people, a lot of times I hear that a lot. Oh, I don't like watching the news. Oh, it's so bad. All you guys only do is talk about the bad stuff. That's not our aim. Our aim is to report on reality. And unfortunately, some of the bad stuff is mixed in to reality. But we also try to bring you up to speed on a lot of other important issues. We've been following closely the stuff happening with JEA, for example. We've been doing stuff on the new Winn-Dixie that opened today, the food desert in a part of our community. Of course, we have the most amazing First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Mike Burris. So you got to know how to dress for the day and how to get the babies ready for school. And so we have our Action Sports Jacks team who do such a dynamic job and work so hard. So you can get a lot. A former journalist, a current journalist, a former coworker of mine, he talked a lot about news kind of like a meal. And, you need the meat and potatoes. Sometimes you need those vegetables. It's certain things you're going to have on that plate that you might not want, but they are part of a balanced diet. Right. And that's our aim. We try to give you a little bit of everything that you probably need to know. So it's not our aim to tell bad news. It's not. I don't get any joy from telling you about a baby that was shot. That doesn't personally move me or inspire me in any kind of way. But people deserve to know what's happening in their communities. And some people are inspired to take action to make their communities safer or research or look into certain laws and how they impact my safety or certain elected officials or however it impacts you. That's our job, to put that out there so that at least you're empowered with that information to act on it how you choose.
Yeah. I mean, and even just to talk about the weather, like when hurricane season comes up. Oh my
goodness.
I don't like hurricanes, but I do get kind of excited about, hurricane seasons, because it's one time where, as a news team, you can kind of predict that there might be some sort of impending doom coming. So you can inform, hey, get your hurricane kits ready.
Yes. And that's so important. I mean, we do work that can literally save lives. You see tornadoes and different things impact different parts of the world. And that's the whole point. They use their technology and also just their smarts and their gut instincts to be able to say, hey, this is happening. And we work hard, and that our team, to see them, the meteorologists are so dynamic. But we'll go in working 12, 14-hour shifts, and we have families. We've had people who've had homes damaged, flood damage, people who are in evacuation zones while they're working.
Right.
People, for me, my husband, he's always stayed at home during the storm. He doesn't leave or evacuate, even though he could easily go see his family out of state, but he doesn't. He stays there with me. And so we have families and things. We try to get our kids together and secure our homes. And then we go to work, where we devote our time to making sure that people watching and listening are safe. And, but I'm thankful that for the most part, we've been spared a lot of people are still suffering in our community. I know the last storm, we were really spared. But yeah, it's important work, and it can be life-saving work or money-saving work. If we can help you to prepare your home or do something that protects you a little bit more, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say is the most rewarding part of the work that you do?
I think a couple of things. I think documenting history, bearing witness to history, being one of the people, when you look back at the archives of life and what's happened in this world, I was one of the people who've helped to chronicle that in so many different states. And I think the second thing would be just the connection with people. I can go out and people go, you're the lady from the news, you're the lady from the news. And over the years, and it's so humbling to see people respond to me like that. For whatever reason, they just might like my voice, or they might enjoy how I deliver the news. And for some people, it's deeper than that. Some women say, you inspire my little girl. For some children, for example, young children of color who might have come from poverty or a single parent home like I did, I can be a possibility model to show them what is possible despite your circumstances. And so it serves so many roles having this public platform, and I don't take that for granted. And so it's just really humbling when people respond to me so positively, and that I'm able to impact people in a number of ways by just being me and getting up every day and going to work to do my job. So I don't take that for granted. So I think that's a really awesome part, to be able just to connect with people day to day.
Absolutely. And the community really is so lucky to have you in it.
Oh, thank you so much.
And how you do make yourself so accessible. Like here, Even at the library, like coming to Completely Booked, I'm just like, wow, we have Tenikka here. She's coming.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the first time. I was excited to come back. So,
And is there anything else you would like our listeners to know about Tenikka's Books for Kids, the launch party, anything else?
Any future plans?
come on out. February 29th is Leap Day. So we're going to leap into Tenikka's Books for Kids. Bring those book donations Saturday, the 29th, right here at the main branch of the library. Come find my booth. Come say, hey, we'll take selfies. Also, it's going to run from February 29th through March 14th. Your easiest way to do it is to find your nearest branch of the Jacksonville Public Library. Look for that Tenikka's Books for Kids drop box and drop your books off there. February 29th to March 14th. New and, quote, like new books for our local children. Like I said, to know that we've already collected nearly 6,000 books, that says so much. It says less about me and more about our community. It's been amazing for the way that people have responded, and even the personal stories. I'm giving this book because I used to read this to my son when he was a baby, or I'm sharing this book because I really like. I have children who donate books. They'll donate their favorite books. And so the different reasons that inspire people to give. And if you're giving just because because I'm asking because you like me, that's okay too. I'll take any of the books. So I'm just excited for us to ramp up for year 3. And I hope that we exceed that amount and just put more books in the hands of local kids. And I'm just honored just to be a vessel to make that happen, because I know that books have changed my life. And if I can give that to one kid, then that's all that matters to me.
Absolutely. Well, we are so looking forward to it. And thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Completely Booked this week. We hope you enjoyed hearing all about the wonderful Tenikka Hughes and how the Jacksonville Public Library is teaming up again with Tenikka for summer learning.
For more information about Tenikka and Tenikka's Books for Kids, be sure to check out our blog at jackspubliclibrary.org. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jax Library for updates on future podcasts and all library happenings.
To stay up to date with Tenikka, you can also find her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find more info about Tenikka's annual book drive at actionnewsjax.com/family focus. Until next time, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Gabby.
Bye, guys.